Thank you. Sorry, I don't have an intro song. Nothing crazy or like that. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you all. Hi, Ethan. I saw you waving back there. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I know a lot of you are not close to the Waterville area, so you're driving probably 50 minutes an hour. Again, Ethan with the expressions. You might hear me say Ethan like 8 billion times tonight because the only time I've taken a serious photo with this man was at my wedding, and that's because we did not have a free photographer and he did not want to mess that up. So I'm glad to see a lot of people here today. It's definitely a decent turnout for an event like this. This is not your typical film festival. So I see a lot of new faces. So anyone that I'm not familiar with personally, hello, welcome. If you don't know me, obviously, my name is Alec LaTulip. 26. I've been making videos ever since I was 9. Yeah, I'm based right here in the state of Maine. So filmmaking, acting, I like to do it all, as you will see here today. Everything you're going to see on the screen is just stuff, we patched together. Ethan and I have collaborated on a lot of stuff. Another buddy of mine, Joshua, has also been a huge part of a lot of the films that you're going to see tonight. And with the exception of maybe one, they were all made with very, very, very little funds, because that is the independent, that is just how it is when you're an independent filmmaker. But first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. And this event started, honestly, when, I wanted to see my films on the big screen. Back in, 2017, I made a film called Kate. And, looking back on it, it was not great, if anyone's ever seen it. But I was so excited to have a film festival at the school. I was going to show this film. I had a poster of me out in front of my film teacher, and then we had a snow day, and it just didn't work out. And looking back on that, I'm glad it didn't pan out, because here we are. We've got 11 amazing short films that I'm so proud to have made myself to be a part of. And I'm really excited for everyone here, friends, family, and folks that I have yet to meet, to enjoy this evening. So, firstly, I know we only have maybe one, Ethan, I'm looking at you, actor here in the crowd, but I'm going to ask everyone to go through a little acting exercise, sort of. So one by one, we'll come up, and I'm going to give you a line. I'm just kidding. That's not actually, that's not happening. I wouldn't put you guys through that, but... So, we are going to start with a little exercise, but it's just going to be visualizing. So personally, I believe that acting is not fake. I hear a lot of people say, oh, acting, you're just pretending to be someone. You're pretending to be sad. You're pretending to be angry or whatever. And I think that bad acting is like that. But I think, good acting is when you are not pretending to be something like a particular character, but you're allowing yourself to be that character. It's not about, oh no, this person's dying. I'm so sad. I'm pretending to be a person sad about this person dying. It's what can you pull from? Do you have any experiences from your own life that can pull from emotion to bring to the table? That's why there's a lot of big actors that are so talented that don't get every part, because just they don't have that material to pull from to necessarily fit for that part. That's my opinion anyway. Feel free to disagree. Michael, I know you disagree with me. But so here's the exercise. All I'm going to ask you to do is to just imagine, not what you think you should feel like, not what you think Alec wants you to think, but what would you feel like? I'm going to read out a scenario, and I just want you to lean on that. What would you feel if this was you? And it could be the smallest thing, because I know a lot of us here are not actors. Just the smallest little feeling. So, here we go. Let me set the stage. You're a young man who just entered the real world. You grew up with parents who loved you, so they encouraged the path that worked for them. You were told growing up to go to school, get a degree, get a good job with stable benefits, and you were told to save your money so that you could one day buy a house. As any kid would, you listened. But now you're ready for everything you were promised. The year is 2025. A fresh pandemic, years long ended. And you're ready for this life that you were promised because you followed the instructions, you did what you were told, and here you are, the American dream. But you realize it's not coming. You witness as cost of living skyrockets while your wages barely move, even with a degree. And so you're looking for a home, and you're lucky if what you've saved your entire life is enough for a mobile home. That's not right. So slowly you start to realize that instead of putting your needs and your passions first, you're seeking for the approval of others. And thus, you're working a job you hate to pay bills you can barely afford, to live in a world where you feel like you don't belong. If you're a young man, honestly, even if you're a woman, you see the TikToks, you see the Instagrams, every person is a problem. You're toxic because you're a man, you are the oppressor, etc., etc. All of social media, it can feel like, granted it's not really that way, it's just loud sections of the interwebs, but it can feel like you are just not welcome. And that's a nasty feeling in today's world. So this is the reality for so many young men today. And the sad part is it creates husbands and eventually fathers who are physically present but emotionally absent. And I know for a fact there's folks in this room that know exactly what that feels like. So as men, especially young men, as we enter the world and build who we are, it is our responsibility to not just provide the basic needs for our family. It is our responsibility to make sure that they can build a life where they can thrive, not just survive. And we want them to have fulfillment, which means we need to lead them to solid places in faith, family, fitness, and finances. You have those four, you have the fifth one, which is fulfillment in life. Now, why do I care? Why am I here speaking about this? Why am I partnering with Andwell Health, who obviously cares so much about the community? I mean, just listening to Bill here, it's evident why an event like this exists, especially in modern times. And it would be impossible for Bill or I to go into the little nooks and crannies of what this struggle is and what that struggle is, because everyone's struggle is different. It's unique. So why do I care? Well, in 2020, we all know what happened that year. In 2020, my life took a 180-degree turn. If degrees could go higher than that without making it all the way back around, it would be further than that. For years, I saw myself, Mom, Bob, you experienced this. Josh, you experienced this. I saw myself moving to Hollywood, right? I'm fresh out of high school. I'm a filmmaker and actor. I'm going to go down to Hollywood. I'm going to make my break, do all these auditions. I wanted to be rich and famous. That's really what I cared about. But when 2020 hit and the pandemic rolled around, everything changed. Everything changed. I started to see things that I didn't see before. I was not really plugged into what was going on around the world. And so I thought everything was perfect. I thought Hollywood and LA, picture perfect, like the television show, But when the pandemic hit, that's where a lot of men really started to slip into a dark place, because things just got really expensive. The country was divided like a split piece of wood. Folks over here had their opinions. Folks over here had their opinions. Some of them had the correct opinions. And it was a very, very hard time in our country. And I started to see all these studios, these TV shows that I would grow up watching or these movies I would love, just go downhill, because all of these studios said, you know what, forget art. They were already doing like sequel after sequel after sequel, but now they started putting, politics and social stuff in their films. And people don't watch movies to be lectured. They watch movies to be as like an exit for their life, to just relax for a minute and not see what's currently happening in the world. So it was very disappointing as a filmmaker But the good thing is, I started to see the real version of myself. I started to see the Alec who didn't want the riches, didn't want the fame, who didn't want to live in the hills next to late night hosts, good Lord, who wanted to make the best stuff I can, period, end of story. Whether that's with a studio, whether that's by myself. The Alec who wanted to create his own opportunity and not search for it from other people. Now, while it was easy to understand, logically speaking, that this old expectation I had set in stone in my life was no longer. It was a very, very hard thing to accept. For those of you that know me, I met Taylor very early 2020. We met, she's my wife, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Woohoo! Less than a month ago. It only took 5 years. So we met right when this all started happening. As a matter of fact, not too long after we met, I broke down in tears, telling her, I'm addicted to food. I thought I had a food addiction. That's where it started. I heard you, Josh. Respect. I didn't realize I just didn't realize for a long time how connected my eating habits were to my mental health. And I spent years battling myself and struggling with limiting beliefs and major confidence issues. Again, just ask my wife. She's been with me the whole time. It's been a roller coaster, and it's been a roller coaster for a lot of men. It took me years to figure out why I felt the way I felt, why I kept failing, why I thought I was broken and kept trying to fix myself. And I'm still working through it today. But what came out of that experience is a story that I feel called to tell. A film about the hidden battles that men face today, and we'll touch more on that a little later. So here's how tonight is going to go. In just a moment, our lineup of awesome short films will start. Everyone here will experience an array of emotions with everyone else here, which is the true experience of cinema. Once the show concludes, it's about an hour and 15 minutes, we will open up our donation table. I will come back up. I will speak about our funding goal. And then the donation table will be opened up. Again, shout out to my insanely gorgeous wife who will be manning that donation table. So you can take a look at the raffles and I'll go over what's included before that starts as well. So at 7:30, we'll come back here. Ethan and I, and potentially one other person, will be up here for a Q&A. So any questions about the films we've made, the process we've gone through is fair game. Whenever that wraps up around 8, we'll call the winner of the raffle. And then it'll be time to just socialize, or if you want to head out. I know a lot of you have a long drive and it's going to be 8 o'clock. So that is an option as well. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming out tonight to support the Maine Frame Film Festival and Fundraiser and allowing us to entertain you. Enjoy the show.